Victor Wembanyama has gone from unstable shoe to unstable shoe during his career, and each model he's worn has had different and bizarre reasons why they are so unstable. Yet the one constant thing has been Wemby's ability to wear them with relatively little issue. He has some lower leg injuries here and there, but nothing out of the ordinary for an NBA starter and Olympian. So now I know the title of the video seems kind of out there, but when you are over 7 feet skinny playing against some of the most physical and strong defenders in the world during a gruelingly long NBA season, it does beg the question, why doesn't he tip over all the time in this shoe? So currently, Victor Wembanyama is playing in the Nike GT Hustle 3. And this thing, although supremely comfortable and pretty cool looking for that matter, is the poster child for an unstable basketball shoe. It is high off the ground, has super soft Cushlon foam, and this enormous, what they call Mustang Zoom Air unit that rides up against the outside of the forefoot, right where you are at most risk for busting your ankle. And also the geometry of these, it is really not the greatest if you're playing a sport like basketball where you have to go side to side a decent amount of time or move in different angles, especially with the angle of ascent in the forefoot, the way the midfoot is shaped, and then even though it is a little bit, gets wider here on the lateral forefoot, the fact that it's made of, compressible air. Before the GT Hustle 3, he was in the GT Run right here, again, double stacked zoom in the forefoot, no shank, narrow forefoot, and for a minute he was in the GT Hustle 2, which while at least they are low to the ground, had like zero support and were floppy messes too. So that's 2 shoes that are unstable and offer no ground feel, and one that is at least low to the ground, but soft and bendy like a Squishmallow. Now these shoes can and are issues for people much shorter than he is, with theoretically lower centers of gravity than him. But with how high off the ground he is, these shoes, as well as just his frame, should be an injury reserve magnet for his ankles. But he seems to do kind of just fine. But how? Well, reason number 1 has to do with a concept called neuromuscular inhibition or neural tone modulation. So here's how I understand this. Stiffness or tightness in your body is a major contributor to rolled ankles and just imbalance in general. And most people think you can just stretch all your body's stiffness away. And yes, while stretching is important, and we'll talk about that in a bit, mechanical tightness is only part of the cause of muscle and joint stiffness. In reality, our brain actually influences how much range of motion, our body allows at any given moment. And so, when our bodies are loose, you're much less prone to instability and injuries from instability, and you can make easier micro adjustment steps and movements versus, when you're like stiff and tight, allowing you to wear shoes with softer foams and more unstable builds without rolling, because your brain is kind of making up for the instability issues in the shoe. Thing is, certain personalities or people who do brain training can get their brains to kind of let go or just allow more movement and range of motion by shutting down or, kind of inhibiting their fight or flight response. Because a lot of athletes and just people in general are walking around with kind of like a baseline tension in their body because a lot of us are in fight or flight more often than we think. And for a pro athlete where every game has so much potentially riding on it, this just gets amplified more and more and more, leading to more stiffness, as well as less ability to correct, more instability, more ankle rolls. Like I said earlier, you can try to stretch a lot of this away, and it's helpful, but for some people, that's just like spitting in the ocean. And Wemby seems to have, honestly, a pretty good handle on this, and he also seems to work at it both mechanically and psychologically, so he just naturally has a baseline of defense against rolling his ankle, because he's able to flow from step to step and make adjustments on the fly, versus other people who would try to lace up a pair of shoes like this, and so he's also now able to utilize the vast benefits of a shoe like the Hustle, with its comfort, its bounce, its shock absorption, right? It's just ease of use. So in his case, because he's comfortable, he likes wearing these, he feels good in these, his brain just can kind of make up the rest, and for him, this is a pretty good matchup. Another huge reason why he's still stable in shoes like the Hustle is that he carries most of his mass in his core. Yes, his legs and arms are very long, but his mass is central, so it's much easier to balance. And with his body mass distribution, his limbs act like that pole those tightrope walkers use. So by controlling where his mass is concentrated, he can actually use now his frame to his advantage. Remember, He also stretches like crazy and has an extensive body work regimen. In someone like him, getting your feet as long as possible, I hear that all the time, but getting your feet as long as possible is actually key to elongate his base relative to his height. That means a long-term, deliberate stretching and mobility routine with the focus on allowing the plantar fascia to stretch. And stretch is a bad word for this, it's more allowing the plantar fascia to loosen and allow more, more lengthening, which is really not easy to do. Because remember, before you get the plantar fascia limber, you have to get your Achilles tendon limber. A tight Achilles tendon is like the deforming force for all of this stuff. That's what causes plantar fasciitis, causes scrunching of the foot, hammer toes, bunions. It's a tight Achilles tendon. That's what causes all of it. So you got to get the Achilles limber before you can think about the plantar fascia. And once you get the plantar fascia limber, that's when you can start working on, like I said, quote unquote, lengthening the foot to lengthen your base relative to your height. And obviously, the taller you are, the more important all this is. Shorter athletes have lower centers of gravity, usually, so the benefits aren't as dramatic. You're not gonna see them as dramatically versus someone who's taller in most cases. I think the biggest warning I can give you though, is the biggest piece of advice I can give you is, you just have to be limber to work on the bottom of your feet like some of these guys do. If you think you're just gonna go smash your foot against a lacrosse ball or have someone just dig into it right, and magically improve your mobility, you are in for a world of hurt. The number one cause of heel pain I see in athletes, other than the tight Achilles tendon and overuse, is athletes trying to stretch their fascia with lacrosse balls, or those grassed-in devices, or massage. If you're gonna do that, you need to work your way into it slowly and with the aid of a professional. Most people cannot tolerate that kind of stretching without working on other parts of their body first. Remember, the plantar fascia is like a stalk of celery. It will fail, tear, get inflamed before it elongates or loosens up a lot of the time. So just watch out. Remember, it can be conditioned over time, but it needs progressive work, not brute force, to be successful and to not land yourself in a treatment chair like mine. And remember, the other reason why he can run around a basketball court and wear shoes like this, it's survivorship bias. He's 7'3", he has a huge lever arm, so even small shifts can cause large center of gravity swings. There's a reason his logo is the alien, because it is rare to see someone with the balance he has in the frame that he has, especially wearing the shoes he does. And the last reason he plays so well in these shoes, and it's one that I just harp on constantly, and that's that there is no best shoe, just the best one for your foot. He usually, remember, he's also moving north to south a lot, so he doesn't need the side-to-side capabilities of the shoe, let's say like the Kai 2. So he may like that soft foam and air feel, and that's just what his body's gotten used to and likes and works best with his body's proprioceptors. Remember, just because someone like me thinks it's an unstable shoe, doesn't mean it's not good for certain people. And speaking of weird, wild, and absolutely world-class footwork, if you want to take a deep dive into Nikola Jokic's drunken master footwork, check out this video right here. I'll see you in the next one.